Hello and welcome back to the channel. This will be video 3 in our Python tutorial for practice problems for interviews. And today begins the portion of kind of intermediate difficulty problems with some more advanced loops and logic. Again, similar to the last two videos, we're going to assume you know a lot of basic Python syntax. So if you're unfamiliar with the very basics of Python, I recommend starting with a very intro to Python tutorial course. You can find one on this channel, or I know I've seen others all over YouTube, so I'll leave a link to that. And without further ado, let's get into the problems. Problem 7. Write code to determine what penalty, if any, a speeding car should pay. Given the stopped car's speed as an integer, as well as a Boolean true-false parameter saying whether or not the cop likes you, determine the outcome. If speed is under 45, no punishment, return a 0. If speed is between 46 and 60, including 60, small ticket, return a 1. If speed is 61 or greater, large ticket, return a 2. Unless the cop likes you, and then add 10 to the speed conditions for all scenarios. So 45 becomes 55, 46 becomes 56, etc. So you're going to be given a speed parameter and whether or not the cop likes you as a Boolean, and you return which one of those three scenarios the payment is going to be. And so if you'd like to solve this before we go through it together, I recommend pausing the video now, taking a crack at it. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and look at the solution together. So for this problem, we're going to start by defining a function which I'll call caught speeding. And the caught speeding function is going to take in the speed and then a parameter that I will call likes me, whether or not the cop likes you. And let's just start by saying if he does like you, all of these checkers need to be a little bit higher. So if the cop likes you, then we're saying if the speed is less than 55 becomes it's actually going to be a less than or equal to. So if the speed is less than or equal to 55, we can just return a 0 because there's going to be no punishment. The next is we can check a range of speed, and we can say, well, if the speed is greater than 55 but less than or equal to 70, then we're going to return a 1, right? Because now we're saying for scenarios where the cop likes you. And so this defined 46 to 60, which is the small ticket, becomes 56 to 60. So the reason we're just doing greater than 55 is that actually starts at 56. This is the same code as writing this. And this is also worth noting, this is the same code as well as saying if the speed is greater than or equal to 56 and the speed is less than or equal to 70, but Python can handle chaining the expression together so you don't have to put an and in there if you're checking against the same variable. So just a nice little Python hack to have. And these, we'll call them elifs. We know just by the way we're writing the code they're mutually exclusive, but this is a good way to do it. And so else, we're saying it's got to be above it because we're assuming that speed can't be negative. I think that's a valid assumption for this scenario. And this should handle everything as long as the cop likes you. And then we'll say else, and we'll just go ahead and copy all this inside code down, because now we're coding for the scenario where the cop does not like you, which if you're like me is a far more common scenario. But all we have to do is just knock all these values down by 10. And this right here should do it. If he likes me and my speed's under our lower limit, or if he doesn't like me and it's under 45, no ticket. If it's in our defined range, then a small ticket. Otherwise, we're going way too fast and he's going to give us a big ticket. So as always, I like to test every scenario, and in this case, that would be checking our function in, let's do the three assuming it's false first. So we're going to check in all three of our ranges that we've defined for both the true scenario and the false scenario. So what we should, if you think about what these tests should turn up, I'll talk about after I type. But we're going to go ahead and check one that should give us no punishment for both. Then we'll check one that should give us a small ticket for both. And then we'll check one that should be a large ticket for both. So I'm going to go ahead and say if the cop does like me and I'm driving 53, or if he doesn't like me and I'm driving 44, these should be zeros. And then if I'm in that middle range for the two, these should be ones. And then if I'm going above my upper limit for either of them, these should be twos. So I'm assuming we're going to see 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. Let's go ahead and run it. Okay, and 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. So we can see right away we've correctly coded for all 6 potential scenarios. So let's just revisit the mission. If speed is under 45, no punishment, return a 0. If speed's between 46 and 60, small ticket, return a 1. If speed is 61 or greater, large ticket, return a 2. If the cop likes you, you get to add a 10 to all those speed conditions. So we come on down. Cop doesn't like us, and we handle all 3 situations. Cop does like us, the values go up, and we get 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. This is one way you could code it. If you coded it another way that worked for you, that's awesome. Just let me know how you changed this code up in the comments. And if you have any specific questions about what you saw here, feel free to drop a comment asking me about that, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, that's problem 7. Problem 8. Write code returning when your alarm clock needs to be set for as a string. Given 2 parameters, day of week as an integer where 1 is Sunday and 7 is Saturday, and a second parameter whether or not we're on vacation, which will be true false, determine alarm time. If it is a weekday and not vacation, alarm should be 8 a.m. If it is a weekend and not vacation, this should say and is vacation, alarm should be 9 a.m. If it is a weekend and we are on vacation, a weekday and we are on vacation, alarm should be 10 a.m. If it is a weekend and we are on vacation, the alarm should just be off. So let's go ahead and create a function and call it alarm time with our 2 parameters defined as day and vacation. And let's just start by checking if vacation. A lot of times you'll see me right away create kind of an if-else loop. When one of my parameters is a Boolean, I like to right away separate that into an if-else because there's only 2 scenarios. So you can do all the rest of the code. Like we're going to check if it's a weekday, which basically means it's greater than a 1 for Sunday and it's less than a 7 for Saturday. And if that's the case, then we can return 10 a.m., right? So this is saying we are on vacation, but it's a weekday, so we still have a alarm for 10 a.m., but then else we can return off. Because now we're saying we're on vacation and it's a weekend, so we don't need an alarm. But then in the else condition, the cool thing is we can take our exact scenarios that we just mapped out here because we've already defined weekday and weekend, and all we have to do is say if it is a weekday, make it 8 a.m., and if it's a weekend, make it 9 a.m. And so it's going to probably ask you to put some spaces around the operators. You don't have to do that, but I don't like when Python gives me little squiggles, so sometimes I clean it up. It would have run fine without that, but so this should handle all 4 situations. So just like the previous example, we're going to go ahead and check our alarm time function in all 4 scenarios. We'll go ahead and do a weekday when it's not vacation. I'll copy this a couple times. So we've got a weekday when it's not vacation. We'll go with a weekend when it's not vacation. We'll do a weekday when we are on vacation. And we'll do a weekend when we are on vacation. So based on this, weekday, not on vacation, we should see 8 a.m. Weekend, not on vacation, we should see 9 a.m. Weekday, we are on vacation, we should see 10 a.m. And weekend, and we are on vacation, we should see off. So that's all 4 of the scenarios and parameters we were given. So let's go ahead and run this. And we get 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. off, just like we predicted. Nice. So if you have any questions about how we did this, or you have an alternative idea that you think might be, the solution, go ahead and drop a comment and let me know what you did. And if you have any questions about how it worked, just let me know below. Thanks. Problem 9. Given 4 parameters: 1, starting integer; 2, range length; 3, test value; and 4, mode. Write a function determining if the test value is inside the specified range, defined by starting with parameter 1, of length parameter 2. Return true if the value is in that range, unless the mode parameter 4 is true. Then return false if the test value is in range. So we're basically given the starting point and the length of a range, and then a value to test for whether or not it's inside the range. But then we have a mode where if it's false, we're checking if it's inside the range. But then if it's true, we're checking if it's outside the range. So you want to return true if mode is false and the test value is in the range, or if mode is true and the test value is outside of the range. So if you'd like to attempt this before we dive into the solutions together, I recommend go ahead and hitting pause now. Otherwise, we're going to take a look at the solution together. Okay, so just like our previous functions, we're going to go ahead and start by creating a function. Our previous examples, we're going to go ahead and start by defining a function that has all of the parameters we were given in the description. So that'll be the starting point, the length, the test value, and the mode. And let's say if it's not mode, so if mode is false, this is where we're checking if it's in the range. We'll use a for loop and say for I in range, starting from start and going to start plus length, right? So we're saying the range of values to check starts at a starting point and goes until start plus the length. And then we'll say for that range, if the test variable is equal to I, our counter variable, then return true. And then otherwise, outside of the for loop, we are going to return false. But then, since we did if not mode, now we're checking if mode is a 1. And this is where we take that exact same code and we're just going to be pretty much flipping the outcome. So we say if it is in range but mode is active, then we're actually going to return a false when it's in the mode and a true when it's not. And this code should really handle all scenarios based on the parameters we were given. So again, let's type up the various scenarios and check. We'll check something that's in range and out of range. Let's do 5, 5, 23, false. We'll check something that's in range and out of range when mode is active and when mode is inactive. So let's do 5, 5, 23. So we're saying starting point for the first parameter and then length for the second parameter. Oh, opening windows. Starting point, length, and then our test value. So we'll do 7, something crazy like 100, 8, and something that'll be inside for this one, 13. So you can see right here we have, oh, I gotta change these to true, and then true. So we have the two scenarios where mode is inactive. We have something that is not in the range of 5 to 9, 23. So this, at first, we should get false. And then we have something that is in the range of 6 to 11. So we should get true. So it should be false, true so far. But then 100 is out of the range of 7 to 13. And so since the mode is flipped, we actually should get true. And then 13 is inside with the mode bit active. And so we should get false, true, true, false when we run this. So let's go ahead and see if we did it right. False, true, true, false. Nice. So this is just one way of writing this code. There are certainly other ways. You don't have to use a for loop. You could create an array of integers based on the parameters you're given and check that your value was inside the array. There are a number of valid ways to code this. This is just one way to go about it, but that's how I used it. And if you wrote this in a different way and it worked for you, that's awesome. And go ahead and let me know about a cleaner, better way of writing it in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope you found these useful. These are very close to actual questions I've had in Python interviews before. And I wish you all the best of luck with your code and your job hunts. And feel free to give me a like and subscribe if you found any of the content on this channel useful. Or leave a comment letting me know what you'd like to see more of for next time. As always, I appreciate you checking out the channel and good luck with your code. Thanks. Bye.